Oh, you have to be flexible. Be flexible with yourself, with others. This is the most important piece, I think, for helping us understand our role. When I look at be flexible, James 3:2 comes to mind. For we all stumble in many ways. And if anyone does not stumble in what ways, what he says, he is a perfect man, able also to bridle his whole body. So in some senses, that says that everybody makes mistakes, everybody has errors, and we all have to be flexible with each other. When I look at the definition of flexibility, it's the ability to easily modify or respond to altered circumstances or conditions. So flexibility is something that occurs in the moment. It is an action or a state of being, meaning you can think about it and you can prepare to be flexible. It's not something that just happens. It's not something that you are either born with or not born with, and that's what you just have to deal with. We can all develop flexibility, and it all starts with the grace. Give each other grace, and grace will be given to you. I'm going to share some ways that you can plan to be flexible. In other words, getting yourself prepared. Always pray. You need to pray for flexibility. Pray that it allows that the spirit would allow you to get into the state of being flexible, of giving and receiving grace from those around you. So that's my number one step for a plan to be flexible. My number two step is stay on task. If you avoid those rabbit holes, you can reduce the amount of flexibility that you're required to have. One of the strategies that I always use in my everyday life is called a parking lot. And a parking lot is, well, we all know what a regular parking lot is. It's a place where we put our car, where we can go into a building and we come out and we know that it's there when we get out. It's in the same place we left it. So a parking lot is a great strategy for those of us who tend to kind of get off on task. If you're talking about something and an idea pops into your head, write it down on a piece of paper beside you, and that's your parking lot. You can come back to that spot or back to that idea when you are finished with your task that you're working on. So staying on task is possible when you have a parking lot. Know the difference between a conference and a consultation. When you are giving a workshop or when you are instructing in VBS, you have a set amount of time, you have a set amount of information to get out. And yes, you need to be flexible and adapt to the different questions that people have. But when it starts to get into specific after specific after specific, know that we can say, I'll address that later. Can you talk to me afterwards? Because this is a conference for everybody and it's not just a consultation for one. Being flexible, my number 3 instruction for being flexible is pretend you are Elsa. And to save you all, I will not sing this, but let it go. If something is not working, let it go. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Let's not be insane. Let's just let it go and try something new. It's okay. When you are flexible, it's okay to change. Make a plan to be flexible. So my number 4 strategy is make a plan to be flexible. These are ideas that you can do ahead of time. Plan for time inaccuracies. So something happens and you start late. Give yourself some wiggle room. Give yourself some time at the end for questions so that people can respond and take in and organize the information. We want to make sure that there's wiggle room in everything. There are times when you could use a visual support instead of using your words to be able to give the information. And that's a way to reduce the amount of time or increase the amount of time as you go. Think about the what ifs. What if I have somebody in my group who has a disability, that has a hearing disability or a visual disability, or anything else? What if the electricity or my electronics doesn't work? Do I have a backup plan for how I can present what I'm doing? What if somebody gets a bloody nose? In VBS, that's super common. We all have these crises that you have to stop, readdress, and get back on task. Make sure that you have a plan so that you can be flexible. If you have a steady plan, then you can move within that and look and appear flexible, even though you have a set, organized plan. And number 5, never let them see you sweat or hear you sweat. You never want to let them know that you are worried about the timing. You can tell them, hey, I've got some, looks like we're running out of time. I'm gonna speed it up here. Or you can kind of inform them that you have more information if they want to know about it or talk to you about it later. That's fine. But if you start showing that you're anxious about the fact that you're looking at your watch, they're going to get worried about what your emotional state, and they're going to miss everything that you said. So you might as well have stopped. So don't let them see you sweat. I know you're going to have predicted this, but of course, Philippians 4:6-7 definitely comes to mind here. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication. With thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. That's a great strategy. Say that saying to yourself, say that verse over and over again, and help you not let them see you sweat. Remember, being flexible is a skill. You're able to develop it, you're able to nurture it and let it grow. You can be intentional about working on it in your VBS experience, and those of your kids will benefit. Your experience, your kids' experience will all benefit from your ability to be flexible and address the needs of the community. Some of the needs you may be able to predict, and you know what? Being flexible means being able to address some of the needs that you couldn't prepare for. But if you set a preparation, then you can deal with all the minor stuff later. I pray that this has helped you in your preparation. Be blessed.